Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I've been well enough over the last couple of weeks and days to play 90's Extreme Skiing on PSVR2. The game comes out tomorrow and is Tunamax's attempt of turning their Snow Scout mechanics into a fully fledged skiing game. And today we're going to be discussing whether they succeeded at that, failed at that, and whether it's worth picking up, and also the future plans for it and Tunamax as a developer in terms of improving the game, which I think is worthwhile in talking about. Before we get into this, only 25% of you are subscribed, so please feel free to do so. With that being said, let's talk 90's Extreme Skiing. As the name suggests, 90's Extreme Skiing is set in the 90's, with some 90's inspired sprites around the maps, cheering you on as you head down slopes that look very similar to Snow Scouts. Essentially, the entire framework of this game feels like Snow Scout again, and honestly that's both understandable and a good thing. Tunamax really caught on to something great with their skiing gameplay in Snow Scout, and while it was pretty toned down in that game, because it was a more introspective and exploratory story, here they get to really stretch their legs in taking this gameplay mechanic to the extreme. But if you played Snow Scout, you're going to feel very at home here. The slopes look very similar. The menus take place in the same cabin as Snow Scout, which has a bit of a cozy feeling to selecting your tracks. And all of the controls are the same as Snow Scout in terms of the skiing, but the difference is, well, this is extreme. First of all, let's break down the visuals here. It's exactly the same story as Snow Scout in terms of art direction and resolution and refresh rate. Resolution is pretty damn sharp, refresh rate is an unreal projected 90 from what I can tell, and the game's colours do pop on the OLED panel of the PSVR2, as this is a PSVR2 exclusive. The rest of the PSVR2 feature lineup is used well too. There are haptics in the controllers as you push yourself down the mountains, haptics in the headset when you're flying down a slope, crash into a barrier, or even when the bass kicks in at very particular moments in a song, which is very cool. And overall, I'm very impressed with the implementation here. It's the same as Snow Scout. When there is a step available to make the game more immersive through these features, the devs use it. 90's Extreme Skiing covers 20 levels, but you will be revisiting these after you played them the first time, and I'll get into why in a second. But each of the levels are pretty varied. They're each set in certain locations, and you will revisit certain locations in different spots as you go through the game. And each have a varying amount of jumps, rails to grind on, fast slaloming sections, and massive downhills. Again, this feels a lot more extreme than Snow Scout, and if you wanted that gameplay that is just focused on having fun, tearing down slopes on your skis, then this is the game for you. These levels can also offer branching paths. They're nothing too long or anything, but you will come to a crossroads where you can take a left or a right. Both are viable, and both will offer you a different experience, and then you can take the opposite route the next time you come down the mountain. As you complete the levels, there are leaderboards to see your times on, and I'm very proud to say some of the levels actually have my name at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. As soon as the game launches, they won't, but I'm relishing that while I can, before all of you lot come and destroy my times. But you will get medals for your times and your score and your tricks. These medals are then used to basically accumulate and unlock the next levels, hence why you'll have to revisit some certain older levels to unlock more medals if you missed them on your first run through. For example, I was trying to unlock the next level, but I needed 34 medals where I had 33, so I went back to the first route in the game and beat the lowest target time there, which I didn't do on my first try, unlocked one more medal from that, and then I was able to progress, if that makes sense. The game also does have a very reasonable platinum of basically completing all the levels and getting 100 medals. I think at the top two that you'll have to achieve to get that platinum, and the rest of them you'll get along the way. So if you're a trophy hunter, this is also probably one to look out for. There is also an announcer as you head down the slopes. While the dialogue here fits the game and is fine, I felt that over time it could get a little bit grating, and I could see how this could annoy some other players, but you can turn down the dialogue volume in the options. So if you want to just take in the sound of the slopes and the pretty great soundtrack, to be fair, then you're free to do so. There's quite a lot of options here, including turning off the HUD, which I always do on Snow Scout in this game because the HUD, I feel, is immersive but a little bit intrusive, and it leads to cleaner video capture like this. You can also adjust your snap turning and your tunneling and all that good stuff. Each of the levels also have a rating on them telling you how intensive they are for the player, so you kind of know what you're getting into before you go. I've been in touch with the devs since the key's been out for a while now, and there are some plans for the future with this because Tunamax always improve their games. The game is good as it is, it's really enjoyable, but the Tunamax devs have said that they're looking to add more content in the future, and they don't really like the idea of paid DLC, so they'll be adding tracks in the future for free, but they'll be raising the base price of the game as they go. At least that's the plan at the moment. I think this is fair, as there is quite a bit of content to sink into at the moment. This will easily take you a couple hours to go through and unlock on your first run, but if you get the game now, you'll have access to all the content in the future as well. These guys also constantly listen to feedback, so if you jump into the game tomorrow and run into any issues, although I didn't really, then feel free to report it to the devs and they'll get right on it. The only thing that actually gave feedback-wise to them was that when you perform a trick, some text comes up in the front of your screen. I found that this was maybe a little bit too big and too intrusive, so I fed this back to the TunerMax guys, and they adjusted it to make it about 20% smaller, which I found improved visibility a fair bit while doing tricks. It's the little things like this that make the devs here truly care about their project, and if you're familiar with Snow Scout or Rainbow Reactor Fusion, they're always on the pulse of what the players really want. That's great to see here. Overall though, the game is really fun. I've really enjoyed it. It's got a fairly high skill ceiling as well. There are certain levels which do genuinely take a few tries to get down to the bottom of, because they will be throwing you around, and it lived up to the promise of that Snow Scout gameplay, but evolved into a more extreme style. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. As another reminder, the game comes out tomorrow. Will you be getting it? Will you not be getting it? Let me know, and I hope to see you all in the next one.